So before I get to a possible negative, I'm going to bring up a positive that could also be, I don't know if it's a dilemma, but Miyan Williams, TreVeyon Henderson. TreVeyon Henderson's the 1. Miyan Williams is the 2. I expected going through the season, maybe a 75-25 split in carries. I don't know. Maybe considering what they need, and Miyan Williams has this reputation of being this bowling ball, of course, and TreVeyon Henderson is the explosive one. I don't know, based on what this team needs, if there's that much difference from the athleticism standpoint. I know that there is, but Tony, could this be an interesting dynamic going forward?
I think it's a fantastic dynamic, and it's one that Ryan Day has talked about, one that Tony Alford has talked about, where they will ride the hot hand. And they rode Miyan Williams in the fourth quarter, and yet TreVeyon Henderson had 6 carries for 36 yards in the fourth quarter as well. Miyan finished with 7 carries, 49 yards in the fourth quarter. So both of those guys were very strong in that fourth quarter. And they both, Miyan had 14 carries, TreVeyon had 15. Like, I think that worked perfectly. And I think when they're both engaged and being used like that, they both stay in the game. You don't have one getting upset. Not that necessarily anybody would, but if you have a situation where, like last year, TreVeyon Henderson gets like 26 carries and Miyan Williams gets 1 or 2, it's not great for the running backs. It's not great for the locker room. And yet there may be games where nobody is stopping TreVeyon Henderson or nobody is stopping Miyan Williams. So somebody's going to end up with 12 or 15 more carries than the next guy. But the way they did it in this one, and it wasn't, I don't even know if it was an every series thing. Like back in 2018 when it was J.K. Dobbins and Mike Weber, it seemed more, I don't know, stilted, stunted, more robotic. And this, it may have been every other series. I don't even know, because it all seems so fluid and it works so well when they were being used. First half, whatever, they just didn't run the ball much in that first half. But I thought the way they were using this one, really, really well. And the way that TreVeyon Henderson sees Miyan Williams run and then does some of that same stuff on his last few carries, these guys drive each other. I think it's fantastic for the team.
Kevin?
Yeah, I think that it's good having, 2 backs that can carry the mail at any point. And as Tony had said, there are going to be games where one might be the hot hand versus the other. And in this one, it was 15 and 14 carries. The yardage was very similar in terms of what each of them had. So, I don't look at it as a 1-2. It's a 1 and 1A or however you want to kind of view it. They each have different skill sets of what they're capable of doing, but there is a pretty good overlap there. And you sit there, and if they have to get into ground and pound for a while, I mean, they were punishing. If you go back and you look at some of the all-22 from the game, they were punishing the Notre Dame defenders. And, guys, I'm not saying Notre Dame guys were necessarily making a business decision of being like, all right, I'm sick of getting hit, but they were probably getting sick of running into these 2 guys. So, I think it's a good problem to have. I think if you can find a way to kind of equate over the long term, you can't look at it in the, by quarter or by game and say, well, this guy had 3 more carries than me. I mean, I don't think either of them are going to be super selfish like that. But I think, finding a way to equate it is going to be ultimately in the best interest of the success of this team.
I was asked about it in my chat this morning that I did on Bucknuts, and my reply was, I don't care what the ratio is from one to the other. All that matters is that you win the game. And, TreVeyon's mom might care and Miyan's mom might care, but, other than that, just go win the football game. And they fed off one another. When Miyan Williams came in for the 3rd series, I think was when he first got in there, his first 2 or 3 carries, he was bouncing off of people and falling forward and churning and twisting and fighting for every yard. And that's how he's been coached to play by Tony Alford. He was running angry. He reminded me of Joe Montgomery, a guy that played for the Buckeyes back in the late 1990s. And he always had that angry look, that hungry look on his face. As I said on our podcast, he grew up in Chicago. He likened where he grew up to Beirut, and that he was always hungry, you know, to get out of that situation by running the football. And that's what Miyan Williams showed us, I think, for a while there on Saturday, that he was going to bounce off of guys and punish guys and get the extra yard. And then Henderson came back in, and he's like, well, I got to do the same thing. And so he stepped his game up a little bit. I think Henderson needs his carries, though, because he's got the ability to take it to the house on any given play if it's blocked properly, broccolied proper, and he can go at any time. I think these guys should be involved in the pass game. I mean, we saw Miyan Williams make a great sliding catch on the rollout that Stroud had. Amazing play. They're both capable in the pass game as well. Henderson has caught short passes and taken them 70 yards of distance in the past as well. So I say more involvement for those guys. I don't care if it's 50-50. I don't care if it's 60-40. As long as it's 1-0 every week, nobody gets hurt.
You know, last year, TreVeyon averaged 14 carries a game. He had 15 in this one. Miyan had 14 in this one. And the game was shortened by the Notre Dame offense. I think this shows that you can get them both involved and keep them both involved. And there's still going to be enough room for C.J. Stroud to throw the ball 30 to 35 times a game, something like that. So I think there's enough there to keep everybody happy. And I think you might see some disparities when TreVeyon or Miyan goes for 70, and then like those 70 yards have just eliminated like 6 carries for somebody else, and then the numbers are going to get skewed that way. But I think you can live with that.
Well, remember, C.J. Stroud said that Miyan's no burner.